Hello everyone, welcome back to part 3 of Anatomy of Female Reproductive Systems. In our previous session, that is in part 1, we have discussed regarding the anatomy of female reproductive tract category, that is the external genital tract, internal genital tract and accessory organs. So in part 1, we have discussed regarding the external genital tract only, where we have discussed in details regarding mons pubis, labia majora, labia minora, clitoris, vestibule. We have discussed that vestibule has total 6 opening, that is 1 urethral opening, 2 paraurethral glands, 1 introitus and 2 bulbourethral glands. Now then in part 2 sessions we started with the internal genital organs, and we have leveled the various internal genital organs like your uterus, fallopian tubes, ovary, cervix, etc. And we discuss in details regarding the ovary, its location, shape, size, weights and different parts like cortex, medulla, and the functions of ovary, the ligaments that presents in the ovary and the clinical relevance like ovarian cyst, PCOD and ovarian cancer. In detail we have discussed regarding the ovary portion. Now in these today's sessions we are going one step deeper, so stay tuned as we unravel the next essential part of this fascinating systems, and that is your fallopian tube. So you know that this I told earlier that this fallopian tube also one of the internal genital organs of female reproductive system. So this is the portions of female fallopian tubes internal genital portion. This is the portions of fallopian tube. Okay, now this fallopian tubes has various names, like we can say it as fallopian tube or salpinx, okay, or oviducts, or we can say it is uterine tubes, okay, as it is attached with the uterus, so we can say it is uterine tubes also. So various names are there: fallopian tubes, salpinx, oviducts and uterine tubes. So this long tube like structure is called your fallopian tube. So total 4 parts are there in that fallopian tube. We will level one by one, and those parts are these portions. We will call it as we will call it as intramural portion, okay, intramural part. And here in these portions it is called isthmus. This is the second portion, isthmus. This is called ampulla, and this is very famous parts of this fallopian tubes, and different clinical concept is associated with this ampulla. We will discuss one by one, and these portions we call it as your infundibulum. This is your infundibulum, and your infundibulum there are fimbriae like, see, small structure or projection is there. What we call it? We call it fimbriae. And here you see this is small projection, and apart from this one long projections is there, and this is called ovarian fimbriae. Why it is called ovarian fimbriae? Because on the 14th day of menstruation from this ovary one ova will come, right, and it will means ova or secondary oocyte will come, and it will take up by this ovarian fimbriae, and it will goes like this from here, it will come to ampulla region, and from outside portion sperm will come and it will get fertilized here in these portions. So this is called your ovarian fimbriae. Okay, now those are the parts of this fallopian tube. So what all are parts? That is intramural part, second part is your isthmus, third part is your ampulla, fourth part is your infundibulum. In this infundibulum small finger like projections are there, those are called fimbriae, and among these small projection one long projections are there, and that is called your ovarian fimbriae. And as you already know, and this is your ovary. Okay, so today's topic of discussions will be our fallopian tube. So what all are things you need to remember from this fallopian tube? That is, this your fallopian tube's length you have to remember, that is on an average it is 10 to 12 centimeter long. That means approximately 4 inches. Okay, 4-inch long. What another thing you need to remember is the it's derived from your Mullerian duct. This is important MCQ. Okay, so fallopian tube derived from your Mullerian duct. Okay, now there is another one concept. See, I already have written these questions. Peg cells seen in. So what is this peg cells? If you elaborate this fallopian tube surface lining, okay, from here you will see one unique characteristics. Okay, that is like, I will draw one picture like this. This is the surface of this fallopian tube, and this surface of this fallopian tube is situated, ciliated columnar epithelium is present. Okay, so ciliated columnar epithelium means obviously there will be cilia present in this fallopian tube. So not only in fallopian tube, in our body, in various region fallopian tube is present. So various region cilia is present. So there will be, and another one important cell is present here in this fallopian tube. This is called your peg cells. Okay, and those structures, this is called peg cells. And the surface of this fallopian tube, it is this small projection, it is called your cilia. Okay, and the surface of this fallopian tube, it is like ciliated columnar epithelium is present. This is important for your MCQ point of view. Columnar epithelium. Okay, so if questions came like peg cells present in, and the options will be like ovaries, cervix, fallopian tubes and uterus, you will blindly answer it as fallopian tube. So peg cell present in fallopian tube. Now coming to this cilia in detail. Why this cilia is present? What is the function? If cilia is present, there must be some unique functions will be there for this cilia. So what is the functions of this cilia? So wherever the cilia is present, let's think it is present in trachea, let's think it is present in fallopian tube. So it will it is a projection like structure, small see, if projection is there, small. So what is the functions of this cilia in fallopian tube? So the functions of this cilia is that it will function. Functions of the cilia will be like, it will push the sperm towards ova. I will draw structure again. So first I will write like push sperm towards ova. So how it will push the sperm towards ova? Let's think. This is the structures of uterus along with fallopian tube and ovary. Now after intercourse, this small sperm will enter through this vagina or introitus towards your fallopian tube, and particularly in the ampulla portion. If it is ampulla, this sperm will reach towards the ampulla, and from this ovary the secondary oocyte will come. The secondary oocyte will taken up by the ovarian frimbi, and it will reach towards the ampulla region, and from where from outside this sperm will come, and from inside this ova will come, or secondary oocyte, and it will get fertilized in the ampulla region. Now who is helping this sperm and ova for reaching towards this ampulla? Yes, it is the cilia who is helping this sperm and ova to reach towards the ampulla portions. Okay, so the functions of this cilia is to push the sperm towards the ampulla, push the sperm along with ova towards the ampulla portion for getting fertilizations. Now after fertilizations, what it will make? It will make one zygote. Okay, now this sperm and this secondary oocyte, it will fertilize and it will make one zygote like structure. Okay, after this zygote formation, it should implant it towards your uterine portions, right? Uterus for implantations. Now, who will help this zygote to reach towards uterus? Obviously, the functions will be for this cilia. So, another functions of this cilia is to push the zygote towards uterine cavity. For implantations. Okay, so the functions of this cilia in fallopian tube is to push sperm towards ova, and the second function is to push the zygotes towards the uterine cavity for implantation. Okay, now there is another one concept like some female, okay, I will discuss it later. Now coming to the parts of this fallopian tube. So I have already discussed regarding the parts. This is the interstitial part, or interstitial part, another name is intramural. So interstitial or intermural is the first part, second part is isthmus, third part is ampulla, and your fourth part is your infundibulum. Now one by one we will discuss regarding the part of this fallopian tube. So interstitium or intermural is the first part. Okay, this is isthmus is the second part, ampulla is the third part. Okay, and infundibulum is the fourth part or the last part, and it is towards the lateral side, and interstitium is in the medial side. Okay, now this is the first basic difference. Now coming to the second difference, you have to remember the length and width of the each part, then only you can understand what is the narrowest part, which one is the widest part, etc. So the interstitial or intermural, the length of this interstitial portion is 1.2 centimeter long and 1 millimeter wide. What about this isthmus? Isthmus is 2.5 centimeter long and 2 millimeter wide. What about ampulla? It is the most longest and widest portion, 5 centimeter long and 4 millimeter wide, as because it is the important portion where zygote formations occur and most ectopic pregnancy happen in this region. Because of this, as because it is the longest part and it is the widest part. So longest and your widest. What about this infundibulum? It is 1.25 centimeter long and 2 to 3 centimeter millimeter wide. So these all are the length and width of this different portion. Now coming to your third characteristics of interstitium. See here in this interstitium, in this region, here is one important part is there, that is your cornua. Okay, this is your cornua, or it form one angle with the uterine cavity. So this is called uterine angle. Here in this portion it is called uterine angle. So what you need to remember about this intermural portion, intermural portion opens where? Opens in cornua region. Cornua region, or we can call it as uterine angle. And another one thing you need to remember about, it is called anatomical sphincter. Okay, in this region it is called as anatomical sphincter. So you just need to remember this two important point, like this interstitial, it's called anatomical sphincter and it opens where? In cornua. cornua region. Okay, now coming to your isthmus portion, this is called, as it is called physiological sphincter, we will call it is as anatomical sphincter, we will call it as physiological sphincter. And another one important concept that for female the permanent family planning method is tubectomy, and for male it is called vasectomy. So where this tubectomy or tubal portions we are cutting, we are ligating, so that portion is isthmus. So in this isthmus portions we will cut this isthmus, we will tie the knot, and then we will cut these portions, and this technique is called Pomeroy technique. Okay, so what you need to remember about this isthmus, this is the second part, 2.5 centimeter long, 2 millimeter wide. This is called physiological sphincter, and in this region we are ligating the isthmus and we are cutting out this, we are ligating this isthmus portion and we are cutting out, and we are doing the permanent family planning method in this isthmus portion, and this technique is one of the type of your tubectomy. Now coming to your ampulla portion. Ampulla is most important portion, it is the longest, one of the longest and one of the widest portions of your fallopian tube. Here fertilizations occur. Okay, fertilization, sperm and ova get fertilized, fertilizations occurs and making the zygote. Okay, and another one thing, most ectopic pregnancy happen in this region. Why? Because it is the most longest and widest portion na? So ectopic pregnancy most common here. And another one concept you need to remember, that you will heard about the genital TB infection. Okay, so we will discuss further in infection portions in female reproductive system, there we will discuss regarding this genital TB. So genital TB infection most commonly occur in this region. Okay, now coming to your infundibulum. Infundibulum is the last part or the most lateral side, and from here that small finger like projection, that is fimbri is present. As you already know, fimbri like structure present, and one of this structure or fimbri became longer, and it is called ovarian fimbri. Ovarian fimbri's function is to take up the secondary oocyte or ova and sending towards the ampulla region. Okay, so those are the parts of your fallopian tube, and that is your interstitial, isthmus, ampulla and infundibulum. Let's revise again. So what all are things you need to remember from this interstitium? This is the first portion and most medial side. Okay, it opens where? In cornua region, and it is called your anatomical sphincter. Okay, here this your fallopian tube is getting open, and it is the 1.25 centimeter long and 1 millimeter wide. Now coming to your isthmus portion, this is your second part. So here in this region it is called your isthmus. Isthmus is the second part, 2.5 centimeter long, 2 millimeter wide. The important thing is it is called your physiological sphincter. So anatomical sphincter is your interstitium or intramural, and physiological sphincter is your isthmus. And Pomeroy technique, that is cutting out the isthmus for the purpose of permanent family planning method, that is your tubectomy, is occurring in this region only. Now coming to your ampulla portion, this is the third part, most longest and widest portions of the fallopian tube. Most ectopic pregnancy most commonly occur in this region. Fertilization, that is ova and sperm get fertilized here in this region, that is in ampulla region. And as it is most longest and widest portion, so this is an good environment for getting ectopic pregnancy. So that's why ectopic pregnancy is most common here, and genital TV infection also most commonly occurring in this region. Now coming to your infundibulum, that is the fourth part. Here in this infundibular portion, small projection like structure present, that is called fimbri. Among these small projection, one large projection or big projection or long projections are there, that is called ovarian fimbri. What is the functions of this ovarian fimbri? It will take up the secondary oocyte, that is ova, and it sent towards your ampulla region for making the zygote. So these all are the part of this your fallopian tube. Now coming to your clinical concept. So what you need to remember about this fallopian tube, there is one important name, that is your salpingitis. So salpingitis, as you know that your fallopian tubes another name is salpinx. So if there is any inflammation, itis means inflammations. So if fallopian tubes get inflamed, okay, fallopian tube inflammations, we will call it as salpingitis, inflammation. Okay, now the second thing you need to remember about the salpingectomy. So if there is ectomy means the removal of fallopian tube. So there will be some like infections occur or ectopic pregnancy if happen, then we will cut the fallopian tube of this particular region where the things happen, abnormal things happen. We will cut the fallopian tube and we will remove it, and this is called your salpingectomy, removal of your fallopian tube. And another one concept is like your salpingo-oophorectomy. Salpingo-oophorectomy. So what is that? Like salpinx means your fallopian tube, right? And oophoras means your ovary. Okay, when we will, and ectopy means removal, cut and remove. Okay, so when we remove both salpinx, that is fallopian tube, along with ovary, we will call it as salpingo-oophorectomy. So removal of fallopian tube along with ovary, we will call it as salpingo-oophorectomy. So what all are clinical concept you will remember? Like salpingitis, that is inflammations of fallopian tube. Salpingectomy, that is removal of only fallopian tube. Salpingo-oophorectomy means removal of both fallopian tube and ovary. So that's all about fallopian tube you need to remember from these sessions or for your exam point of view. So what all are things we discuss here? The different part of your fallopian tube, cilia presented in the surface of your fallopian tube, and the functions of the cilia is to push the sperm towards ova and push the zygotes towards uterine cavity. If questions came like peg cells presence where, you will answer it like in your fallopian tube. The peg cells presence only exclusively is it's present in your fallopian tube. Now coming to the different parts of your fallopian tube, interstitium, isthmus, ampulla, and your infundibulum. The another name of interstitium is your intramural. Okay, the length and width of these different parts, what unique identity you need to remember, like anatomical sphincter, physiological sphincter, ectopic pregnancy, genital TV infection, where ovarian fimbri is present, what is the functions of ovarian fimbri, and the clinical concept like salpingitis, salpingectomy, salpingo-oophorectomy. So that's all about today's sessions. In this part 4, we will discuss further the remaining portions of the internal genital organs. So thank you dear students. Keep your preparation